In part one, we're talking there about your health, and that's then. I want to just start part two with how are you now? You don't mind?
Yeah, no,
again, sorry, because we weren't. I knew about this, but we never went public, and I didn't even think we were doing this on this interview. So, how are you?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Obviously, it's just something that you have. You're told you're clear.
You've got the all clear.
I've got the clear, but you have checks annually,
sure.
And no further treatment. It's just annual checks. And you know, I just encourage everybody, when you get these opportunities to have these checks, you should take them up.
And being on the inside with the health system now, have you been giving Mr. Ashford any advice? Because you know, he's got the new top person flying 3 days a week. And what's your view on that?
I'm really quite disappointed about that. And that's a question that I asked in you know, a couple of weeks ago.
What you'd like to hear for all the time?
You know, you're the Chief Executive Officer of the largest department, the Department of Health and Social Care, that's going through massive change, and the Health Minister thinks it's appropriate for them to possibly only be on the island 3 days a week. I have real concerns about it. But
Thomas was relaxed about it. I think we asked him about it.
Yeah, and it's a secondment. So I'm just, you know, to me, what's the commitment here? We've got
now about air miles as well, isn't it?
Well, you know.
Well, that's what it's going down to, isn't it?
Well, it could do.
People saying things like that.
You know, but I do have concerns when we've got fantastic frontline staff working over and above, and probably doing extra hours, and then we have this flexibility for the person that's in that position.
Okay, and just to finish with the health thing, you've been through the process, were you comfortable with what you saw at Nobles? I know you went across for treatment, but you know, as a patient and being in the system, should people have confidence in that?
Certainly, obviously that breast care unit, that there's you know, the charity that's done that, absolutely amazing. You feel great up there. There's drinks for you. The consultants were brilliant. The oncologists from Clatterbridge, absolutely amazing. I couldn't fault it. And I asked a question about the oncology service, who was the full-time consultant. I was advised there is a full-time consultant. I'm still waiting to see who that is. So, that's on island. You know, obviously we have fantastic service from Clatterbridge, and you cannot fault it. The staff and everybody were amazing, and especially in the radiotherapy units.
And now people know why you weren't in Tynwald, so maybe they won't think twice about attacking you.
About attacking you on the streets.
Okay, let's move it on. This next year, what have you got? Anything particular you're looking forward to? You know, any new legislation you're looking at, or just things that on your horizon? Yeah,
no, well, obviously, as I said, the whistleblowing committee, I'm really passionate about things.
We're going to try and keep on top of that as well. It's going to be interesting what happens there.
Yeah, what develops. You know, there could be legislation changes that, you know, we'll see what the outcome of that is. I'm also very interested, it's something that I have experienced myself, actually. There was a petition for Tynwald for grandparents' rights, so I'm very interested in looking at that.
Have you picked it up?
So it's my intention to, yes.
That's a minefield, I'd have thought. But
so for grandparents' rights. I'm not somebody that's going to just sit back and not work hard. Obviously, I'm on the Social Affairs Policy Review Committee, which is chaired by David Cretney. Obviously, David's said he's retiring. In February?
Well, it will be February, won't it?
Yeah.
Gosh, that'll be the end of the era.
Yeah, well, and obviously there's been some really valuable work that we've done on there. You know, we've had the Notfield, we've had we've looked at the education bill. You know, it's a really, I really do love that, working on that committee. So that's where you can make a difference in some cases, because you can bring a report to Tynwald, and you know, hopefully the changes and the recommendations get accepted.
Before we finish, I have to ask you how you get on with Rob Collister. It's a good ongoing thing I ask you every year. He gives me his thing, and is it better now?
I've never
You're both very kind on this.
No, well, there's nothing to be kind about. We both work differently. I've worked as a public servant for 40 years. I know my way around systems and that.
It hasn't been the easiest relationship then.
It's what it is. Rob has his way of working and that, and you know, and I have a different way, but we do work together on the Eastern Area Plan. You know, we talked and we discussed that. I was very minimal really on the Eastern Area Plan with what I wanted to put in, because as far as I'm concerned, Onchan hasn't got the infrastructure for all these additional houses. I've been brought up in Onchan, I live in Onchan. I know, and I spoke to the main developer in Onchan 40 years ago, Mr. McCard, and I know that the sewerage and the wastewater in Onchan, a lot of it goes into combined pipes. So
you don't want
any additional
any more, or just big development?
Just the big development really at the top of Onchan. There's little pockets that have already got planning permission. Yeah, let's do that. But the village is quite restricted going through the Manx Arms area and that. So I'm not against, development, but it depends where it is and whether we've got the infrastructure. I'd love to see a new primary school in Onchan, and I think we've got the infrastructure in one area. I've spoke to them about that.
Okay.
So.
You got put back into the post office, didn't you?
Yes.
I mean, were you amazed or surprised or happy about it?
No, I was fine with it. Obviously,
you want to keep on?
Discussed, yeah.
More things to sort out there, or is it now sort of?
No, we're bringing pensions legislation changes to Mould in November. And I think it would have been, if they'd have changed members at the time, the 2.5 years were up. Same, Dr. Allinson was kept on at the MUA, Martin Perkins. It was a really challenging time. We were in the middle of all the negotiations and that, so I think it was the right thing to do at the time. I'm not saying that if any
other. You're happy to stay there?
I'm happy to stay there for the time being.
Like
yeah.
So
no. Well, obviously, it's been good experience. I wouldn't mind taking on another statutory board, and there's other challenges there.
So when Alison becomes a minister, you'd move MUA?
I'd be happy to go to the MUA. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they might not be happy to see me. I'd be happy to go there.
This is probably the wrong terminology. Are you still enjoying this?
Yes, yeah, I am. It gets very frustrating at times. I feel that there's an awful lot. I've recently put a question in with regards to spend in each MHK's constituents area, put it in over the summer, and I think that's worth looking at. People wish to look at that. It's worth looking at. You can see where a lot of the funding. I get frustrated that I don't feel that there's funding for some things that seems to be readily available, and then other challenges like in social housing, for instance. Should we be putting rents up if we're wasting money in other areas? And I struggle with that. I don't like to see waste, and I do have concerns really about people's perception of, they seem to think spend. Right. In the debates, a lot of the debates in Tynwald in October, it was, that people were asking for money really, and I was thinking that there isn't. Well, a lot of them did, and I didn't agree with it. One in particular, I put Manx Radio. I put an amendment through that I was happy to support what they brought forward, but no additional funding. Unfortunately, they got the additional funding. I know it was a small amount of money, but 95,000 could be used quite. For an awful lot of things. So there are disappointments like that, there's things like that, but it's up to you to vote against it, listen to your constituents. So.
Really quickly, how did you do last year out of 10?
Considering I was ill, I think...
You say what you want, you get a gold star from me.
Yeah, no, and obviously people didn't know that, so whether they would view it the same, but I think I still worked extremely hard, completed everything I should. I don't know what I'd give myself the year before. From a work ethic, I continued working, so I'd give myself a good 8 or 9.
9, we'll take 9. So. And the government?
Well, I'm not so sure we're making enough progress, and
I think
there's a lot of...
This is clock ticking down now, isn't it?
There's a lot of electioneering already started, and I'm not sure I would even give them a 3 this year. So,
3?
Yeah,
I don't think
I'm not seeing.
Incredible.
There's a lot in the pipeline.
Okay, we'll talk more about it.
Let's deliver it.
And are you going to stand again, or is it too early to say?
No, of course. You go into this. I think the first 5 years there's a lot to learn, and to make that difference, you're working on policy and changes. You need to continue working on them. So I certainly would put myself forward. Yeah. So, and hopefully the people of Onchan will see what I've achieved. I look at my manifesto quite often, and I think, I've done that. And I think that's it. You've got to do what the people have put you in there and expected you to do. So.